Microsoft owns a piece of OpenAI, not a small one, somewhere around a quarter of the whole company. And this month, it started training its own salespeople to talk customers out of buying it. 2 years ago, that sentence would have sounded insane. OpenAI was the crown jewel Microsoft had bet its future on. Now, in a private room, Microsoft is coaching the people who sell its software. Their job is to make OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google look like the weaker choice. Here's the thing though. This is not really a story about which chatbot is smarter. It is a story about who owns the door that every one of these AIs has to walk through to reach you. And the people who end up paying for that may never see it happen. Let's start with what was actually said. Around the middle of July, Microsoft held an internal strategy session for its next financial year. The message to the sales team was simple. Stop selling customers a single part. Start selling them the whole machine. One executive, Jay Parikh, put it plainly. Everyone else sells parts. Microsoft sells the full system. And that, he said, is the story they all need to go out and tell. Then another executive went further. The head of Copilot, Jacob Andrew, reportedly gave a presentation that put Microsoft's assistant directly up against Anthropic's Claude. According to Bloomberg's reporting, his pitch was blunt. Inside Microsoft's own Office apps, he said, Claude was slower and less accurate. And it did not plug into Microsoft's security systems the way Microsoft's own tools did. Now pause and get calm, because it matters how you hear it. That is Microsoft's number from Microsoft's own testing inside Microsoft's own apps. No independent reviewer has checked whether it holds up on the work you would actually do. A company saying its own product wins on its own home code is not exactly a shock. So the trash talk on its own is normal. Companies do this. What makes it strange is who is on the receiving end. Because Microsoft did not just compete with these companies, it funded them. There was a time these two were inseparable. Microsoft put in the money against the computing power. In return, it got first claim on OpenAI's technology, wired into products across the company. For years, if you used AI inside a Microsoft app, there was a good chance you were quietly using OpenAI under the hood. Then this past April, they redrew the deal. Microsoft gave up its exclusive grip. OpenAI was suddenly free to sell to Microsoft's rivals, and Microsoft was suddenly free to stop leaning on OpenAI. The leash came off in both directions, and Microsoft moved fast. It has put more than $13 billion into OpenAI over the years, and it still owns that stake. It leaned on Anthropic's models to run features inside its own flagship apps, the ones sitting on hundreds of millions of desks. And now it is the same company turning around to tell customers that suppliers it depends on cannot keep up. It is not being quiet about wanting them gone. Microsoft's AI chief Mustafa Suleyman said it about as bluntly as an executive can. The company pays a lot of money to Anthropic, and the goal, he said, is to reduce and ultimately eliminate the cost. Around the same time, Microsoft quietly cancelled most of its internal licenses for Anthropic's coding tool. Read it all together. And it is a company that has decided it no longer wants to be a customer. It wants to be the competitor. But here is where the real story is. And it is the part nobody was supposed to notice. The trash talk is the loud part. The routing is the quiet part. Inside Excel and Outlook, tens of thousands of prompts every week are no longer being answered by OpenAI or Anthropic. They are being answered by Microsoft's own in-house models, the ones it calls MAI. And you would never know. You click the same button, you see the same logo. The engine underneath just quietly changed. This is the whole trick. The model behind a feature can be swapped out while you keep seeing the exact same screen. Same app, same button, different brain. And in most cases, you have no way to tell which one just answered you. Look at what Microsoft chose to move first. Not the hard stuff, the easy stuff. Drafting a reply, summarizing a thread, writing a simple formula. The boring, high-volume work that happens millions of times a day. Microsoft is routing that to models it owns and keeping the top-tier outside models on hand for the harder questions. One writer put it well. The outside labs are not losing the partnership. They are losing the volume. And volume is the whole game. That endless, repetitive, everyday work is exactly where the bills pile up. It is also exactly where the money that funds these AI labs comes from. Why would Microsoft do this? The math is obvious. It told developers its own Excel model could match a leading model's output while being up to 10 times cheaper to run. That is Microsoft's own figure again, so treat it with the same caution. But even a fraction of that saving is a fortune at that scale. So who actually pays for this? Start with the labs. OpenAI and Anthropic built their businesses on being inside these tools in front of all these people. Now their biggest distribution partner is quietly draining away the everyday work that made the businesses worth having. It is a strange kind of squeeze. Nobody cancels a contract. Nobody makes an announcement. On paper, the relationship looks the same as ever. The traffic just quietly moves somewhere else. They keep the logo on the box. They lose the customers inside it. But you might pay too. And this is the part worth slowing down for. One direction Microsoft has openly floated is making its own cheaper models the standard and turning the top tier outside models into a paid upgrade. Think about what that means in practice. The best AI becomes the thing you pay extra for, and the cheaper one becomes the thing you get by default, chosen for you behind a button that looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. Now, to be fair, there is a reasonable version of this. Cutting costs is normal. A cheaper model that is genuinely good enough to write 2-line email is not a scandal. It is just sensible, and Microsoft insists its own models are competitive. But there is a real difference between the best tool for the job and the one that is merely good enough, picked for you and never announced. One of those you chose. The other one just happened to you. For 2 years, everyone has been watching one race. Which company builds the smartest model? This is a different race and a quieter one. It is about who owns the button you press. Because whoever owns that button decides which AI actually answers you. It decides how much the good one costs. And it decides whether you are ever told the difference. Microsoft spent years and billions helping build the models it now wants to talk you out of. And it kept the one thing that turned out to matter most. Not the smartest AI, the door all of them have to walk through to reach you. So the next time an assistant answers you from inside an app you trust, it is worth asking one simple question. Do you actually know who you are talking to? And if the answer changed tomorrow, would anyone tell you? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you soon in the next one. Till then, peace out.